Hello, hello. We are live. How are you guys doing today?
Super good.
I'm good. How are you?
Introduce the show, Mama.
Oh, hello. Welcome to J&A, Journeys and Ambitions. I'm Jen. This is Abby. We have Coach Anna on here today from LV Radio. LV
LV with
streaming.
Val.
LV with Val.
Yeah.
Sorry, Val. Not trying to count you out there. We love you.
Yes, and today we're talking about how you see yourself. So, Mom, you wanted to talk about this topic and you specifically wanted Anna on.
I
So,
did.
talk about what you guys have in common and why you think this would be a good conversation for us to have today.
And I'm not sure we can do this in an hour too, so you may have to come back.
Okay.
Actually, so we've met a couple times, but when I was watching your show and reading your bio, I discovered that you had gastric bypass and that you're a coach for that. And I also had that, so I was like, we have to talk because, there's a lot to talk about, especially just like how it impacted your life. What are the long-term effects from that? Why you got it? All those reasons
Mm,
and side effects or things that have changed your life, whether positive or negative, right?
yeah.
For me, myself, there's negative things, but in the end, all positive, mostly
Yeah.
positive. So, lifestyle changes, of course.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's people out there who have had some sort of weight loss surgery, and they were not successful, and
Mhm.
and why that is. But I don't want to make the whole thing about surgery. Just there's a lot of reasons that people go through that. I remember back in the day, some said that was the easy way out, and I don't particularly agree. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
surgery is an easy way out of anything really. But anyway, it was just interesting. I was interested when I saw that you had had that done too, and wanted to get your thoughts on that. Again, don't want to make it all about weight loss surgery, but
Mm.
Right, because
you know,
the whole premise of Journeys and Ambitions is to kind of talk about things from the perspective of someone who is Gen X and someone who's Gen Z. Anna, would you consider yourself a millennial?
I don't even know, honestly. At this point, I was born 94. That's it. I don't know where to categorize myself because
Yeah, I say Gen Z for the sake of this show, but I'm kind of like I'm a cusper. So yeah, but I do think, even though you and I don't have much of an age difference, I think there's still some of those things. Like I feel like both of us kind of went to high school and middle school in a time where like things did change a lot, like
yeah.
culturally and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I do think, especially when you were growing up, you maybe got like the tail end of like kind of the culture that I think your generation kind of breeded of like hyper fixation on like body image and like being really thin and stuff like that. And I remember growing up with that at a really young age as well. So what like how do you feel like, your perspective of like body image and stuff has changed?
Body image, like today, is definitely way more positive than when I was growing up. Way, way more positive. Because my body image doubt, let's say, started very early, like started practically maybe like I want to say elementary, because in elementary I was already a little bit overweight. I was already starting to build up that weight, and I did first grade and second grade here in Houston, and it was okay. It was nice, and kids didn't pay much attention to that. But then I moved back to Colombia, and I'm doing fourth grade, fifth grade, and these kids are brutal. These kids were like, "Oh my
it's
gosh,
awful.
why is she like so chubby? Why is she like this? Blah blah blah," and in the body positivity in the school that we got enrolled into, because it's our parents choosing best education, whatever whatever. It was a very high class school, so they were all about like the latest gadgets, being in fashion, being like looking cute, whatever. And so like you saw girls at school with, like, we had uniforms, and you saw girls at school with like the short skirts, and trying to hide it with like tying their sweaters around their waist and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to be a kid.
Right.
I'm just trying to be myself. And I think then whenever I was in fourth and fifth grade, it was like I spent a lot of time by myself. A lot of time by myself because the friends I had were really friends, and they weren't, and they will also talk behind my back about how I looked or how I talked or how I behaved, right? And so that body image started really really deep there. And then we moved to Africa this time, and over there they were more open minded because they're more there's kids from everywhere in the world now, so there it just really doesn't matter that much. But it started just being something within me, right? I'm not getting bullied over here. This is now middle school. I'm not getting bullied. I have
But
friends.
you're already aware of it. Like, it's already in your
Exactly,
head. Yeah.
exactly. But it's in
Yeah.
my head. And I tried. Nobody bullied me over there and everything. I did try to lose some weight. I was in sports. I was swimming. I was doing soccer. I was doing a lot, but it was still, I was still heavy and everything. And then we moved back to Colombia again, and this time I'm in high school. High school, very different, but I'm already at a weight that like I already know I'm overweight, right? And by the point in high school, I have already seen like probably 10 nutritionists, weight loss people, everything. But it just wasn't working because it was just deeper emotions that weren't processed out and from early childhood. So high school was okay and everything, but it still affected me to the point where I'm like, I'm not now. It's affecting me where like I'm not getting a boyfriend, right?
Mhm.
I see everybody with boyfriends and everything. I'm just here like, oh, I'm just a friend and everything.
Did you start to I felt like when I kinda went through this, did you start to sort of blame a lot of your problems on that? Like, if I was thinner, I'd have a boyfriend, I'd have this, I'd have more friends, I'd have,
Mhm.
like you kind of find yourself going down the path of, I'm gonna use this as
Like
an
a
excuse.
crutch
Yeah,
almost.
not
Yeah.
really excuse, but kind of a you just like it you want it, right? So you kinda make it like that goal of, if I attain this,
All
Yeah,
my
all these other
problems.
problems are gonna
Yeah.
go away.
exactly. And
So
that's how I did start doing that narrative in my head in high school. But then I was like, you know what? It's not really gonna serve me keep thinking like this. So I started thinking more positively about myself. So end of high school, graduation, everything, and then we moved back over here to Houston. And in America, the food, I'm telling you, I promise you, is it's not good. It's not good. You have to be very aware what you're eating out here because I think on the first year after we moved back, I probably gained maybe like 50 pounds, I want to say. And that's just because I'm in college now. There's not like I'm eating lunch at the college or I'm eating lunch with my friends. I will go with Riva and Melissa, and we will go to like Sonic, we go to Taco Bell and stuff like that. So I'm not eating the most healthy either. But the narrative in my head is like I love myself for who I am. At this point I had to be at peace with how I was looking, right? At this point, I'm like, I can't keep listening to the judge. I can't keep listening to these people that are telling me I look fat or it's gonna affect me. Cause I loved myself at the end of the day. And what got me down was listening to the other people's judges, right? So once I started blocking that out and blocking that out and creating more of a positive image within myself, and that got me through a while. But then I decided, I got so positive that I was like, you know what, instead of waiting for men to ask me out, I'm gonna go ask them out.
Oh,
So
dang.
I started doing that.
Good for you.
And no, no, no.
Maybe.
And so that started getting me down again. So I was like, and so at that age I was like probably 17 going on to 18. And then at 18 I was definitely like, okay, I think it's time for another change because at this point, at 18, I think my last weight was around 300 pounds, 310 pounds. I think that's the last time that was like my biggest weight. And then I said, okay, I think it's time to do something else because I love myself. I'm being body positive. I'm like, I wasn't really going to the gym. I wasn't very strict with myself on that. But then, and so I decided like, okay, I'm gonna go for the surgery. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So I talked to my parents, everything, we get everything sorted. And before the surgery, and they made me talk to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a nutritionist,
Mhm.
a trainer, everybody. They made me talk to everybody to make sure like that, to make sure that I am aware of the decision that I'm making because at the end of the day, it's a long life surgery, right? So I talked to everybody, everything, and I was like, I was at the psychiatrist's office, and he's like, "So why is it that you want to get the surgery now?" And I was just like, "Well, I just think it's time because I've I've gone through my entire life, kind of like I might get emotional, guys, but it's I was telling him like I just been every weird stage, let's say, every stage, childhood, being a teenager, and everything was surrounded by being overweight and people telling me like, "Oh, you're so fat," or even my own family like, "You're so pretty, Anna. Like, why don't you lose the weight?"
Right.
Right?
'Cause it's super easy, 'cause we
Yeah,
wouldn't have done it, I mean, a
yeah,
long time ago.
exactly. I'm like,
Sure.
it's not that I don't want to, right? It's not that it's a problem. It's just that emotional eating and emotional distress in your body is very different. So I was telling him this. I'm like, and he's like, "Well, why are you crying?" I'm like, it's just an emotional thing for me because I've been bullied over it. I've been made fun of it. I'm like, I sometimes feel like my family didn't approve of it too because they're telling me like, "Anna, you might die from this and blah blah." And I understand at the end of the day, it's from a health perspective, but it wasn't the most positive because also in the moms, you know, Latina moms, it is true what they say. They are our biggest judges. So she's like, Anna, you're so pretty, like you can lose the weight and everything. So in my head, to some point, I'm like, not even my own family can accept me like this, too, right? And so that was kind of the narrative in my head when I was talking to the psychiatrist. And so he was like, okay, I understand. It does seem like you're ready and everything. So he gives me like if the psychiatrist says no, it's a no. Because they think
Right,
you're not prepared.
right.
Mhm.
You have to be
They
doing it
think-
for the right reasons, right?
Exactly.
If it's, my boyfriend's gonna leave me 'cause he thinks I'm good, that's no.
Exactly.
It's the
Yeah.
wrong
Then you
reason.
need a new boyfriend,
Exactly.
like, but you can't. Um, I I was gonna say too, like, in my experience, like, a lot of it, it's not what you're eating or how it's why you're eating, right?
Mhm.
It's like, some
Why?
people drink, some people have other vices, some people eat. And the thing about food is you have to eat. You can't quit eating, right?
Mhm.
And it's a social thing. You wanna go I mean, every time we go out, we eat, and
Yeah.
it's fun, and it's enjoyable. So, it's not something you can walk away from and close the door and say, "Okay, I'm that's it. I've had enough. I'm not gonna eat
You can't
anymore."
stop eating. You need to
Yeah.
eat to
And
survive.
then you have to
And we
make
tried that.
that choice to eat something healthy
Mhm.
every time you eat.
Every time you eat.
I mean,
Every
that's a
time you eat.
I mean, I know there's other addictions and stuff that you have to make that choice every day as well, but it's not necessarily when you
'Cause you
go out
still
and it's in
have to
front of
eat.
you,
Yeah, like,
you
if you have
know?
an addiction to, like, drugs or something, you can stop doing drugs,
Right,
but you can't just stop eating, and
and you
Exactly.
can't expect the people around you to alter what they're doing.
Yeah.
I somebody watching actually that we had this discussion multiple times, where it's like, they don't have they're not overweight, so they're gonna eat a pizza in front of me, and, okay, I get it, right? But at the same time, are you really making me watch you eat a pizza?
like,
You know?
yeah,
Exactly.
how supportive is that?
Exactly.
Exactly,
And
like
Me,
that
it was definitely like the cookies and the cakes, and I'm like, "Wow, are you really eating that right now in front of me?" Like, and then my parents would talk to the school to get me in like the healthy eating programs too. And so I'm in school and I'm eating like the protein and veggies, and then I see all the rest of the kids eating like the normal school lunch.
really
So
hard when you're a kid, super hard. Well, I mean, it's hard
so
when you're
hard.
an
It
adult too.
was very hard. Yeah.
So you feel
you almost
like
feel, like, singled out, like, I'm the one
Exactly.
that has to, like, eat this way. I do want to bring up a question that we got really quick, because I think it kind of pertains to what we're
Yeah.
talking about. Miss Carter, the real Miss Carter said, "But is it the food or is it your eating habits?"
Right.
And I think
Both,
I
probably.
think it's both, because I was even talking to Anna, because me and Anna work together at LV with Val Radio. So I was talking to her yesterday, because I know she eats really healthy and works out, and like that's a journey that I kind of want to be on. Thankfully, I think because of the trauma you went through, Mom, like I have never gotten to a point where I was like morbidly obese or anything like that. But I think it just is genetics, runs in our family,
Right.
struggled with like my weight and stuff like that. And it started when I was young as well. Again, it wasn't, I don't think as significant maybe as other people's, but it did affect my self confidence, especially being surrounded by like, growing up in like the early 2000s and stuff. What type of body was like most admired? The stick thin, super skinny.
Yeah.
And I think now in the past, maybe like 10 years, they've kind of more embraced like a thicker body type, which I think is beneficial, because not everyone can be that thin. And I
Right.
think it's more accepting of like just different cultures and like different body types. But I do think it is important to be healthy. And so to answer Miss Carter's question about eating habits, like that's kind of what I was telling Anna. I'm like, I'm trying to like, yes, I'm counting my calories. And I even I hung out with some friends last night and we were talking about it. And they were like kind of concerned. They were like, because I was saying I was trying to watch my calories. And she goes, "Well, are you eating enough?" And I said, "I'm eating
Could be
enough."
enough.
I said, "It is less than I'm used to." I said, "What right now I'm trying to break a habit of like stuffing my face. I like to eat. I always say, and I even have it on my Twitter. Follow me. It's Abster, ITSABBSTERR. Anyways, I even say like
It's X now, by the way.
it's X, sorry. I've even said before, if I'm gonna do one thing, it's finish my plate. And I like to like indulge in food that I think tastes good, because it makes me feel joy. And so right now I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm trying to change my eating habits. It's a little dramatic right now. And eventually I don't want to always have to count my calories. Like that's not a goal where I want to always count my calories. But I am trying to like break a habit and change my eating habits and my lifestyle, so that I don't have to worry about gaining weight and losing weight as
Right.
much. Yeah.
I think it's also perspective too, right? So I was going to say I've struggled with weight my whole life, and I don't think that's really true. I think I've been aware of my weight my whole life. I think
Mhm.
it was brought to my attention at a very, very young age, um, which
Tell them
made
about your
me.
mom and like what your
Yeah,
mom.
I mean, Mom, I hope you're not watching. But also, my mom was big growing up, right? So she was doing what she thought was right. And when children, girls, go through chubby stages, thin stages, someday I'll bust out all your kid pictures.
Mhm.
I mean, she, up and down, up and down. I'm also 5'10", and I was like 5'9" by 12 or 13.
Mm.
And I'm comparing myself to other 12 and 13-year-olds who don't even weigh 100 pounds yet,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But my mom had me like eating like on a diet 6 and 7 years old, because I was going through a chubby stage, and she, that happened to her, and she didn't want me to go through it. And I think all that, in my opinion, it made it worse. The second I could sneak food behind her back, or any
I
kind of
would
junk
say
food, or trying to like eating the rest of kids' food at school, because I'm starving. My parents were divorced. I'd go over to my dad's house. My dad let me eat whatever I want. So that was a free for all, it got worse. But, and looking back, I mean, I weigh about the same now as I did in high school. And I thought I was enormous in high school because my friends were 50, 60 pounds less than me. They were also smaller people. So it's all really well. It's all your perception, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think I weigh close to the same. I wear a bigger size. I feel like, I mean, really, I feel like I look the best I have ever, really. And it's funny because I was smaller then, and I
And
thought I was huge.
do you think part of it too is that like our society embraces different bodies now?
I do think that I always, my joke is, right, is that when people talk about my my my
You're behind.
my behind, they're like, "Oh, girl, you're behind," and I'm like, I used to tie sweatshirts around my waist in high school to hide it. I was embarrassed that I had a big butt, and so I always say J Lo and Kim Kardashian, thank you for making me trendy.
I do want to ask you, Anna, because you're Colombian, right?
Yeah.
And I think, especially as like Americans, we have this perception of Colombian Latin women, but specifically like the Colombian, I think has this kind of like trope of like being very curvaceous and like having the teeny tiny waist and the big butt. And like, do you think coming from Colombia to America, where that perception is very prevalent, do you think that also had an impact on like your body image because maybe people had this like expectation of you?
Well, I didn't think they would have expectations, but they would definitely like be kind of like, oh, you're Colombian. Like, let's say, like maybe they were confused in their perception about how a Colombian should look. Because, like, if you see my sister in those in back in the days, like, and you compare her to me, like my sister would definitely fit the Colombian. It's actually the standard. The joke is like, you're supposed to be 90, 60, 90. It's like 90 centimeters in your boobs, 60 centimeters in your
Mhm.
waist, and the 90 in the butt. So it's like my
36.
sister was like that, right? And I'm
Yeah.
not like that. So I was happier to come over here where there was more people that looked like me,
Mhm.
because there is a lot of chubby people. Everybody here in the US, Texas is one of the reigning states too. And so I was like, I know I'm not gonna struggle as much with kind of having to defend myself of how I look, because in Colombia I kind of felt like I did have to do that. I feel like I was secluded to a certain point, because of how I looked. Like I started a semester in college too in Colombia, and I went only for like 1 week because then we got the news that we're coming here. But then I go to college and like all these girls, they're thin, they're like doing the preppy thing. They have, and I'm just here like, yeah, well, I'm chilling and everything. But as soon like as I went to like the cafeteria to buy something or something like that in Colombia, I was definitely like when you feel like people are staring at you,
Mhm.
and then you turn around and it turns out like maybe a few people were staring at you, exactly like that. So I was definitely very excited to be over here where there was at least a better image, or at least more consciousness towards people that look like me, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that I like it's more of an expectation if I go back to Colombia now, right? Like seeing that I've achieved the goal, the weight standards, or the positive image that per Colombian standards is okay for a woman to be attractive and stuff like that. Which I feel like it still even reigns today. A lot of women in Colombia, a lot of influencers in Colombia too. If you pay attention, they're skinny, they get surgeries, they today I even a normal woman wants a surgery just because she wants to flatter abs or something like that.
But
And
so body image just as, and I of course never thought of this until Abby had a friend in high school that was very, very thin. And actually your best friend is also very, very thin.
Mhm.
And but at some point I remember in high school, she got upset. Not your best friend, but the one in high school. I remember she had gotten upset because she was really thin, and then people were saying stuff about that,
mm,
you know, including overweight people, like, "Oh, hey, eat a burger," and she was offended, and I never even stopped to think that people who are too thin
Would be
are
offended.
body conscious as well,
Yeah.
right? But it's not just about weight either. It's plastic surgery. It's
yeah,
whatever we're self-conscious about. And I'm a proponent of if it bothers you and, you know, get it done if that makes you happy.
Yeah.
exactly.
But we're talking about getting the gastric bypass and you have to take all these psychological tests and I
Yeah,
don't know how I got it because I'm crazy. But they make sure that, that you're in the right mental space. And I
yes.
didn't even know really what that was all about. Right. So I had met a girl in our journey. We went to the same class. You take a class before you go get the surgery. And she was substantially larger than me. But we decided to keep in touch. We had surgery like the same week. And within a month or two, we're checking in on each other. And she goes, hey, if you chew it up really good, you can eat a cheeseburger from McDonald's.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I was like, "I don't wanna eat cheese. I'm gonna die." Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
scared
yeah,
myself. I thought, and it just but it, looking back on it, she wasn't mentally ready. She
no,
thought it was gonna be a cure, and she was trying to circumvent her surgery,
yeah,
because mentally she wasn't ready to not eat those things, you know? And then there's a lot of people who do this and then they gain the weight back, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's not perfect. I've fluctuated, but I try to rein it in.
And I think that kind of goes back to our topic of how you see yourself, because it's not always about the number on the scale or how the clothes fit. It's literally just how you see yourself.
It's how you see yourself. Yeah,
Exactly, like you said, like, you are probably about the same weight you were in high school, but the way you see yourself is vastly different than you did back then.
Right.
And I
mm,
think
So
kind of
you're comparing yourself too, not that you should
yeah.
compare yourself,
The
but I'm not
comparison.
comparing myself to 17-year-olds now,
yeah,
so
you're comparing yourself
look
to
pretty good for
other
50.
grown
Yeah.
adults, and
No, you look amazing.
I think even, like, what you were saying about, like, the thinner people too, like, I think maybe back maybe let's say, like, 2002, right? They would've been very proud of themselves because of the standards that were set, but because a different type of body is now being highlighted and celebrated in, like, the media,
Mhm.
now they're feeling kind of what the thicker girls felt back then, and I'm not saying it's like, "Karma, you deserve" I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying, like, your surroundings and your society and the people around you really do affect how you view yourself and how you
Sure.
that confidence that you either have or don't have, which
Yeah.
fluctuates on its own already, but I definitely think out even you can say till you're blue in the face, like, "Oh, don't compare yourself, don't compare yourself," but that's easier said than done, you know? It
Sometimes. I think sometimes you have to hit a really big I have been comparing myself for a while a little bit, like the last year of my life, because um the majority of my friends are about to get married, already married, or having babies, and I'm over here still working on my career, doing my thing and everything. So I'm like, so do I need a boyfriend or anything? So my biggest wall was when I was frustrated and I dated a dumbass. I'm gonna say it like that.
Oh,
And
we've all done
I'm like,
this.
why did I even go all the way to be with that person? And it was because I was comparing my life, right? I'm comparing my life. So I want the boyfriend, I want the ring, I want the husband, but then I really sat down with myself because I was super upset with myself after that one. So I was like, what is it? What is it that's keeping me this frustrated, or like this thing in my hand? And I'm like, I'm comparing myself, right? I'm comparing my life to my friends, or the people around me, and I can't keep doing that because that's their life, right? That's their path they've chosen. They've been working towards that. I haven't been working towards that. I had not been working towards that at all. So I was seeing myself like, I want to date, I want to travel, I want to work on my career. I eventually want to have my house. But in nowhere in my plans had I already decided to get a boyfriend or get a husband or have a family, or have anything like that. In which I'm still confused about, but I'm gonna just leave it for later because I don't want to touch it. So
We can have a whole nother show.
like you when you're comparing yourself and you feel frustrated from that, it's because you're overdoing it, and you're trying to live a life that is not yours.
Well,
So
it just takes one negative thing to stick in your head, right? And that's your new reality.
yeah,
You can if you're in a dysfunctional relationship or a friendship or with your parents, they can say one thing to you and then that sticks in your head. Well, if I look different, if I was the way you wanted me to be, you would treat me better or we would get along better or you would love me more. Whatever the case may be, you know. But I kind of wanted to talk to you as a parent who went through this, um, and then had a daughter. I thought, looking back, I think there's other things I could have and should have done better, right? But I wanted to never put that on her, never make her aware. I know she's going to be in school. I know she's going to
yeah,
be aware of it, but at the home. And so I just tried to have healthy food in the house and not too much junk food and that sort of thing without her knowing it. I mean, I was eating that way too. I think the mistake I made is I didn't I didn't think about what she would hear. Like, 'cause so she's hearing me, "Oh, I've gained 20 pounds. I really gotta
Mhm.
get it off." You know,
And
I
that's
never stopped to think, like, I'm doing all the right things, not putting on her, never concerned about her weight or telling her that, but
Yeah.
she can hear me. I'm doing it to myself,
Yeah.
right? So that's
there's
I wish I could have changed that.
there's this, they call it on, like, on TikTok and stuff, the almond mom.
I knew you were saying
The almond mom kind of thing
Mhm.
that people talk about, which is basically like the mom that's like, "Oh, I ate a handful of almonds for lunch and I'm good." And it's like the
please don't say I'm the
you're
almond
not the almond
mom.
mom. But there's this, and I think it is a generation thing where, like, women who are maybe, like, in their 40s or older, I'm just gonna throw that number out there, have this hyperfixation about weight and body image,
Sure.
and I know other women that are mothers in that age group that are, like, very, like, talk about what they're eating, talk about every, like, "Oh, I need to get this pound off," when it's really not about a pound. I think it has to do with control. I think it
Sure.
has to do with you wanna feel a sense of control, like, "This is the one thing in my life that I have full control over, and it's how I eat and it's how I exercise," but there is such thing as too much, and so I think this almond mom thing is kinda funny because these girls on TikTok will be like, when you're out to dinner with your almond mom, and she, like, takes a bite of her salad and she goes, "Oh, I'm stuffed," and then the daughter's like
Her burger.
hammering a cheeseburger in her mouth, and, like, what I think is you had trauma growing up
Mm,
that made you have an image of yourself, but I do appreciate that you never talked to me like that, like, the way your mother maybe talked to you, like, "You're overweight, you need to lose weight,"
yeah.
but as
I
a
think she took
daughter.
it as a reflection on herself too, though.
Right, that's how
Whereas,
I look.
like, somebody
Projection.
whatever you're doing is a reflection of me,
Yeah.
right?
I think
But
as a daughter, though, because especially because 'cause I'm an only child, I'm her only child, and, we're mother-daughter, I looked up to you in a lot of ways, so if I see you talking to yourself that way,
sure,
I'm gonna maybe start talking to myself that
sure.
way,
Yeah.
and so even though you're not planning it in me as the person at being the aggressor,
Right.
it's more of the model of, like, "Oh, so this is how I should talk about myself. This is how I should view myself. I should be, like,
Yeah.
critical, and I should, care about these things," and I think I go through phases, like, there have been times where I'm, like, okay being a little bit overweight. I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm good. I don't care." And then I get to a point where I'm like, "Maybe I could cut back. Maybe I could cut back on the McDonald's a little bit."
It really I mean, it's really all in your confidence, the way you hold yourself too, because
Yeah.
you always think you look good, which you do.
She's
Which
cool.
you do, yeah.
You do. She's
You
beautiful.
are so confident. Yeah, I love that how you're confident you are in everything. And then
The other thing too is back to, like, the psychological aspects. You just kinda brought it up of, my I had a strange childhood. Is it's the only thing you can control as a kid.
Mhm.
So, if you're dealing with, step parents and all the things, right? It's the
And
o
abuse.
and abuse.
Mhm.
There was some
Sorry to
abuse.
call you
No,
out,
I don't
but
wanna talk about that. That's another show.
yeah.
But, the only thing you can, like, as a child can control is that.
Yeah.
And then you have and then you have parents, trying to control even that, and that's when you get to eating a whole banana cream pie in the middle of the night. I I did that, and I haven't had banana cream pie
Tell
since.
tell tell
It was horrible.
tell them your logic behind that, why you ate the whole thing.
Oh, why I ate the whole thing? Because I wasn't allowed to have it, and I
um,
really wanted it, and so,
And your parents had multiple, right?
yes, and there was multiple, and so, I figured if I ate the whole thing, they wouldn't notice the whole pie missing, but they would definitely notice,
A
like, a
slice.
slice or 2 missing,
so
so, yeah, I ate the whole thing in, like, I don't know, 5th or 6th grade. Thought I was gonna die. Literally, was horrible, and I swear to you, I have not had a piece since then. I'll have pie, not banana
I
cream
think that
pie.
kinda shows, like, psychological damage that can do that caused you physical harm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your parents were so fixated on, "You can't eat this pie," yet they keep several in the house
Well, I think that was so when I
to the
say
point.
parents, I have a lot of combinations. My
Your
parents
mom
have
and
been
your
married multiple times.
It was your mom and your stepdad, right?
No, that was my dad and wife number 3.
Oh,
Not the
yeah.
one he's currently married to, who is lovely. But, that was actually not even a weight thing. That was more of a, control thing. Like,
Oh,
yeah, she just,
didn't want you.
just didn't want me to have her things kinda thing.
Oh, okay, okay.
oh,
Probably
Yeah.
why I don't like Dr. Pepper either. She used to lock up the Dr. Pepper. I don't even like it. So,
Well, it's almost like when someone makes something so forbidden for you, the more you want it.
well, and so I think that really is it too, right? Like that was, I mean, I guess I'm lucky that it wasn't more harmful things because it wasn't, I was never like checked up on as far as like drinking, smoking, whatever else. No one ever,
It's
you
just your
know.
eating.
It was
So
the food, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't forbidden. I didn't want to. Okay.
We actually have another question from Aaliyah. Thank you, Aaliyah, for asking us a question. You're amazing. You're great. You're gorgeous. The question is, do you ladies feel as though the more in shape a woman is, the more respect she gains?
No.
I
Well, because
depends on who you're talking to.
Anna, you go first.
You go. I
I
can talk all
feel
day.
I feel like that's like that's a society thing because you see women in shape that can be very different sizes. You see women that do CrossFit, you see women that just lift weights, you see women that do yoga. I'm a yoga woman. You see, and all of them are in shape in their own way,
Right.
right? So it's not even like I think at the end of the day we have to stop trying to gain respect outside of ourselves. If you don't respect yourself, whoever comes into your life will not respect you either. So again, it's what you have inside that's gonna attract what comes into your life, right?
Exactly.
So I respect myself. I love myself. So I'm gonna try to bring in people who love and respect me, right? But I mean, sometimes you still have to work on it because again, I had a dumbass boyfriend, dated stupid people, right? And it's because maybe life is telling me you still have some stuff to work on, right? Because like just like right now, me talking to you guys about how I had to talk to a psychiatrist and everything, it got me emotional. So I know there's still things that I need to work on inside. But the more if I keep telling myself I gotta go work out, I gotta be in shape because I wanna go get respect from a man or from a woman, it's not gonna help me. Because that then right there, I'm looking for the external validation, not the internal validation. I don't want to be in shape because somebody else is telling me to be in shape. I want to be in shape because it's healthy for me. It's
It
healthy
makes
for
you
my
feel good.
body.
Yeah.
It's yeah, at the end of the day, my body is my temple, right? My body is where I keep my soul. And so if I keep my body healthy and everything, I know that I'm going to gain respect, love, everything that I need because I'm treating it good and nice and everything. But like it goes, I think that definitely is an external validation question. Because like you were saying, how now society is very positive image and body image and everything, and I'm a little bit pissed about it. Honestly, I am because if we were like this a few years ago, I wouldn't have been bullied, right? I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been made fun of and I do have beef with it, but I'm gonna work it out. I'm gonna work it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's hindsight too. One of the things that people, I guess, commended me on is that I had my surgery over 20 years ago, and I've managed to, have some highs and lows, but
Yeah.
mostly keep it off. And that's
Which is normal. I think we should normalize going up and down in
that
weight
is normal.
because as your like life changes, like lifestyle or like, I think we've all gone through a phase of depression. And when you're in that phase of depression, you are not concerned about eating or working out or your body. Like you're just trying to heal yourself within.
But and different people, like some people will gain weight in depression, and some people will lose
Lose
weight.
weight.
You
Yeah.
know, but I think I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
How you've
Well,
kept the weight off.
yeah, so I've kept
Yeah.
it off for a long time, and people like will kind of commend me for it, and I mean, I think I just like traumatized myself, like if I'm going to go through this, I'm never going to be, big again,
They don't see the
ever.
negativity that went into what they see as like a positive thing.
Right.
Or even when a girl loses a lot of weight really fast, or not a girl, just anybody, people are like, "Oh, congratulations, congratulations." And like sometimes that's how eating disorders get like fester and get worse in people because they're getting this external validation like, "Oh, I'm losing weight so fast." Little do you know that they're like maybe starving themselves
Right.
or
Doing something very unhealthy.
doing
Or
something
Yeah.
unhealthy. I
Mhm.
do think though to answer Leah's question, and I'm gonna twist it a little bit.
I am too. I have thoughts on that as
I
well.
do think the more attractive people view you, whether that be because you're thinner or because you look more fit or because you have, a big butt or because maybe you're just dressed nicer, you're wearing more makeup. I think the more attractive you seem, the more people kind of notice you and respect you. And I'm gonna again, I'm not gonna take it so much as a weight thing, but like I if I'm and I take a
So
lot of
you're
pride in
presenting yourself.
I take a lot of pride in my appearance. I almost always do my hair and makeup. I always have a cute, even if I'm wearing like comfy clothes, I make sure I look cute. I wear cute little crop tops and I like to look cute when I go out. But on the occasion where I don't, like where maybe my hair's looking crazy and I have yesterday's makeup on and I'm wearing like clothes that don't fit with stains on, like when you have a
She
Walmart
does
run.
not ever do this.
Sometimes I do. I
You
have
do not.
before. And those are the times where like maybe and I notice a lot of times, like when I'm more done up, I do get more attention, whether it be like not necessarily romantic, like, oh, I want to date you attention, but just even friendly attention. Like people just talk to me a little bit longer or they try to make more conversation with me. Whereas when I don't look as cute or like presenting myself as well, I don't get as noticed as much.
Because
People maybe not hold the door for me, or maybe they don't, just things like that.
that's all it's all how we're perceiving it, right? So
Yeah.
if
That's
you go out in dirty clothes and your hair, then you're lazy
Yeah.
or you're poor or you're not very smart or I don't know. I mean, think about it. Like all the things that we put on someone
yeah.
that then they do like their little, what do they call it? Like what do people
Glow
say?
up?
I was gonna say glow up, but I more meant like I clean up nice, like,
Oh, yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, let's talk about men, right?
Yeah.
They haven't shaved, they're wearing some bummy clothes, they're,
Yeah,
whatever.
you have a
You will
perception of
walk
them
right by
too.
them. That same man can go take a shower, get his haircut, shave, and wear a suit, and you're like, "Hello, hi,
Mhm.
I'm Jennifer." So it's not just weight. It's just because I've known larger people that like pretty makeup, hair on point, nice outfits, and and I don't know the respect level. And then I think it's the other way around. So if you're really in shape and you have a terrific body and you're showing it, you're gonna get disrespect in a different way, usually from the opposite sex. Or
Yeah.
so it's more on I don't think it's more your body size necessarily, but how you present yourself.
And how you're
Yeah.
perceived.
How do you want to appear to other people? And I'm not saying anything's right or wrong,
Yeah.
right? You present yourself however you like.
I think women too, like how Anna was saying, like there's some women who do the bodybuilding and then there's some women who do like yoga. And, women who kind of have maybe more muscle and maybe appear more quote unquote masculine, they're very in shape. It's not you don't look healthy, but now it's you've gone too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you've
I've
gone
heard that one. Yeah.
you've gone too far in your fitness journey. Now you don't appeal to me because now you're like too fit almost.
Appeal to yourself. I mean,
Right.
really,
Yeah.
I think the other thing too, this is just my personal take on it. Being bigger when I was younger, I sort of had to rely more on my personality, had to be more outgoing to make friends, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm not the cute,
You have to be. Yeah.
popular
I had to
girl.
be. Yeah.
So I feel like that's sort of a benefit. I mean, I think people still mostly like me. I'm pretty friendly. Um, but when I think one of the things I noticed when I lost the weight, and as you know, with surgery, like you lose it pretty rapidly, right? So you don't see somebody for a year, you look like a completely different person.
Mhm.
Um, I actually had people treat me, I thought like, all my problems were going to change. I had people treat me worse
When you feel like
when
after
I
you
lost the
lost weight.
weight.
Yeah.
People treat me like suddenly they're acting like I'm not very smart because you can't be attractive and smart, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I people thought I was intelligent before. Now I'm thinner, and they're like, acting like I'm an airhead or something, which I can be. Or just um, men that now are treating you like you're easy, for lack of better words.
Mhm.
You know, like
Anna, how do you when you kind of went through that like difference in being overweight to being healthy and things like that? I know, we've talked a lot about how you feel about yourself, but how do you feel that changed people's perception of you?
Wow. Well, I feel like, hmm, because for me personally, I definitely got in my ego. So I would, because I had been, so let's say I've been dreaming of like the perfect Anna, right? Let's say that, like the skinny Anna, like she has the abs, everything, she looks healthy. So I had that ego in my head, right? And when I get there, this ego is definitely way different from my true personality, and that's kind of who took over when I was like at the at my peak point where I lost all the weight and everything, and I'm looking at myself, and then um the friends around me didn't like change too much or anything, because I think at the end of the day I was a very good judge of my friends, and the majority I kept around are still around. But others that didn't understand where I was coming from with the surgery and this image definitely were like, I feel like they took advantage to a certain point of that ego, because I was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's not like I went out and like got treated like differently by my friends, but by men for sure. I like, men will definitely come up to me more and everything, and we talk, and that changed for sure, and that also got in my head because like, ooh, now I'm getting talked to, approach, when I never did. And so with my friends, it didn't really change that much, because at the end of the day, the friends that I chose loved me for who I am.
Right.
And but the fake friends didn't really know where I was coming from, right? They didn't really know how much this self-image difference would affect me or was doing to me. So, and then I don't even talk to those people anymore, so it wasn't really that much of a change with my friends or with like the people around me, because there wasn't too many. I want to say, maybe, if I'm getting understood, but it was more, for me, it was more me. It was more me because it changed me more than it did the people around me. Because my family was happy, my everybody like, oh, Anna, you look much better at everything now. Look, like I can share clothes with my sister, everything. But it was more me internally, like feeding that ego and waking up from that ego too, and realizing like I'm not treating myself the best way, even though this is how I wanted to look. You
Right.
kind of get me. It
So
was
that's
definitely me.
interesting. How old were you when you had the surgery?
I had just turned 19.
Okay. So I was, oh, how old was I? How old are you? I think I was like 20, 27, 28. I don't know, something like that. Um, and this is not so much the difference in age, although 19 is pretty young to get it, um, but more the difference of the time period, right?
Mhm.
So when I got mine done, it was relatively new. Like it was not as common. And so I did not get favorable like reactions at all. Like my family and friends were not happy.
They were scared, right?
Yeah, they did not want me to do it. They just were like, "You're risking your life. This is terrible." And I'm like, "I have a 3-year-old kid that I can't run around with."
Yeah.
So I mean, so
It
yeah.
wasn't just about image, it was about,
Yeah,
"This is gonna
it
affect
wasn't
my
to look
life."
It
better. I
was
mean,
about your
I
future.
was
Yeah.
already married with a kid. I mean, I already nailed
I
that
was
down. I'm just
I
kidding.
was actually, yeah, I was actually gonna do the surgery even younger. My parents actually took me to go talk to the insurance and everything around 15 and or 16, I think it was, and they actually said no. They said no, she's too young, she can still lose the weight by herself, blah 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 blah, everything. But then, fast forward 3 years, we're living over here. I gained a bunch of weight, and I was a size 22. That was my biggest size, and
I think me too. Yeah.
yeah, and size 22, and there's no cute clothes when you were size 22. None.
The difference between like the
Right,
next size down too was like
not
You don't
like
hit a 20 until you've lost like 50 pounds. You're like, "What the heck?" And then once you get into like smaller numbers, you lose 5 pounds, you're in the next size down.
yeah, exactly. And I was just it was doing it at 19. I felt like it was maybe a good time, mainly for myself because I knew I didn't want to go into my 20s overweight. I knew that. And I knew I was like, I think I'm ready to see myself in a different kind of aspect. And if I'm not achieving it like this, I know that I said, the surgery at the end of the day is a long-term thing, but I know that I'm more ready for it and I'm more prepared for it because again, my whole life, like probably at 7 years old, I was already talking to a nutritionist, right? As she was already telling me what to eat and everything and all this. So at 19, I already have this knowledge of I gotta choose the healthy options. I gotta do the small meals and I gotta do the snack. I can't have a sandwich that has the ketchup, the mayo, whatever. And then in the workout, I was like, I love exercise, but I had to find which exercise I want that truly resonated with me. And for the surgery, I did go to the gym. I did a bunch of weights. I did the cardio. I did the swimming and everything, and that helped a lot with the weight loss. But what they don't really prepare you for is kind of like when you're losing the weight, you have to be aware of like your excess skin because you push your body to such a limit of in the weight that when it's trying to bounce back and you lose the weight too fast, it doesn't bounce back at the same rate because collagen or whatever body, you know.
Elasticity, yeah.
Uh-huh. And so I was like, okay, I have
Even
to.
slowly, if you reach a certain point, it's not all gonna bounce back, even if you lose it
Exactly.
slowly. I mean, there's just
And I think that's like a whole other thing to be insecure about. I've heard you talk about that as well.
that's
It's like
another show.
you lose you lose the weight and then it's like there's this whole other thing. It's like now I have stretch marks or I have extra skin
Yeah.
or
And I think it's a
whatever.
whole 'nother thing to be s it's I mean, look, we're none of us are perfect, we're never gonna be perfect. Like you said, Anna, at some point, you gotta love yourself.
Yeah.
I do wanna say can you put that, Kristen
Yes,
Rosales?
yeah.
Hello, Kristen Rosales. A negative body image will impact a person's mindset and life choices.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
You
true.
know, if you unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, you get negative about the way you look, it seeps into I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not
Yeah.
whatever. You can end up in and a job that you hate, you can end up I mean, you can end up in a relationship that you don't like for too long. Um
Yeah.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
You just
Because
make bad choices. And then, even when you try I know myself, I'm speaking for myself that, I can't even tell you how many diets I went on before I made the decision to have surgery. And I mean, and I you go on a diet, you weigh yourself a week later and you've gained 2 pounds and you're furious, right? What the heck? I and then
you're not
literally
understanding.
you're like, "Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go get a burger because
Exactly.
clearly dieting isn't working out for me,"
Yeah.
So
That happened to me recently because and I know it's kind of cliche in the new year I wanted to lose weight. It's because so I turned 25 in October and they say you go through like a second puberty when you turn 25 and I'm like, "Oh, my eating habits aren't working anymore. Like I gained a significant amount of weight since that time." And so I was eating like healthier, but earlier I said I'm now counting calories. I was eating healthier and I was like, "Okay, I'm eating all these vegetables. I'm not eating like all the fried food I was eating. Like, hopefully, I'll notice some sort of difference." And I went on the scale and I gained 3 pounds. And again, it's not about every single pound, but it's like, I should see after a couple weeks of eating like this, I should see I should feel different. I should look different. I did not feel different and I did not look different. I actually felt
you didn't
bigger.
feel different? You didn't feel, like, healthier?
No,
No.
at least what a well, I'm sure
No.
that no. When
I
you were
feel fine eating pizza.
I think it's very hard when it's like that because then you didn't understand what happens when you start a diet with your body. Sometimes your body's like, wait, you're changing your eating
Right,
habits. That
Mhm.
means I have to go into reserve of
right.
what we have because maybe I'm not gonna get this later on. So your body kind of does that. But you just got to give it time. You got to give your body time at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because when you're changing such strong habits like eating, your body is going to go into a panic mode. It's going to go into like, oh, hey, you didn't eat a burger this week. What's going on? Because your body's used to that. So then your body's like, okay, I'm gonna reserve the burger you ate last week, so that this week, if you don't eat it, I still have something. Think
Right.
about it like that. But then once your body detoxes and you keep eating the healthy things and everything, your body's like, okay, fine. I'm gonna let go of the burger way. I'm gonna let go of this.
Becomes your new normal.
Yeah.
I think I said, when I had lost, but probably about a year after I had the surgery, or whatever, and I lost all my weight, I think I tried to eat something with lots of mayonnaise on it or something, which would have been normal in my life. And I absolutely was like, this is nasty, like
Isn't it?
gross.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have like I eat it now, but
Like, and
but
then-
it just, my taste changed because I switched it up for so long,
exactly.
I know we don't have too much
Oh, me
longer,
too.
but I wanted to ask you, Anna, so what is your body image today?
My body image today is that I love my body and that I got to take care of it. It like at the end of the day doesn't like I already know kind of how the scales are going to fluctuate. Like right now, I'm trying to lose a little weight because I'm gonna be a bridesmaid, and I went to try on my dress, and it was kind of a little bit tight up here, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I got it small, and I usually get mean and everything, but like those bridesmaid dresses, they like run big. I don't know what it is.
Depends on where you get them from.
Exactly, because we went to the shop and I tried the extra small, and it fit, but then it didn't go all the way up or anything like that. So I was like, okay, so that means that I can get the small and it should fit like perfectly. And so I get in and it did, but it just felt like, to me, it just felt tight. So I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. What do I need to lose weight or something? But I know that the weight that I'm gonna lose for this dress is probably like 2 pounds, 3 pounds, because it's just like centimeter changes. And it's not like I'm gonna go on a whole new regimen to get myself to a weight that I don't really need to be at. So it's kind of like now it's definitely, I feel more comfortable when I fluctuate with my weight. I feel more comfortable when like I go out to eat and everything. Like I love hamburgers and but I cannot eat fast food hamburgers. Like
But
you have to take me
you
out
don't feel like people are staring at you and you're gonna be bullied and all that, right? You walk out and you're like, "I got this."
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's where we all wanna be, right? We just wanna be comfortable in our own skin, um, and that's different for everybody. That's the thing too, it's different for everybody.
And we have to learn to not take things personally at the end of the day.
But,
At the end
also, if you see someone, and I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna call him out, but a, young man, not young, old man, said this to me in a week. He said, why do these girls who are, 5'5" and 200 pounds think they're a 10? They're a 5 at most.
Ew. Well,
No,
that's as
no,
more
walk on by because somebody thinks she's a 10. You know what? If she thinks she's a 10, leave her alone.
Even like the
Leave her alone, you know?
yeah.
really big
It's not your
girls,
business.
there's a whole community of people who like really big
Sure.
girls.
I love me some Lizzo.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a whole community
I
that
mean,
loves the big girls. And I'm like, really?
that's the thing. We
Really?
cannot yes, I understand that, there's concerns about health. I get that,
Yeah.
right? But we should not project body image onto other people as well. If they're
Mm.
happy and they're truly happy, then let them be happy.
Then let them be happy. And if they want the help and come to ask you for help, then give them the help. But you should not force anybody to lose weight, change the way they look or the way that they see themselves unless they want to do it themselves. Because
Absolutely.
that's kind of also kind of like with addictions. Like if you're not aware of it, if you don't want to change it, nothing's gonna change. Nobody can
Right.
force you to change it.
Right.
Nobody can force you to change how you see yourself. Right? You can only at the end of the day receive so much information or tips or advice on how to look at yourself. Kind of like what's her name? I forgot what she asked.
Oh, Aaliyah?
No, the other girl, the last question we
Oh,
had.
Listen.
this one.
Yeah, and the negative body image. Like if you have a negative body image of yourself, only you can change it.
Yeah.
Only you can change what you're saying to yourself up here. Because I can tell you all day long, you look beautiful, you're yours, blah, 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 right? I can waste my breath. But if you don't believe it up here first, what I say is going to go in through one ear, out the other.
Yeah. You either have to change your thoughts or change what you want to change, because guess what? That's something you can,
Yeah.
if we're talking about weight, that is something you can change.
Yes.
Right? Like I one of my major insecurities when I was young was my height. I was taller than everybody else.
Yeah. Can't
At
fix
this point,
that.
I'm like, well, I mean, it is what it is. I can't change that.
Yeah.
I do not know how to walk in heels.
I like
though.
the saying, accept what you can't change and change what you can't accept.
Mm.
Yeah.
Look at her. Little
Look at
genius. She gets that from me.
Drop right there.
So yeah, we're right at an hour now. And the most viewers we've had is this last minute. So
Yeah. Where did you all
where
get
were
the
they
wrong?
at?
You're on a different time zone? What's
No, ask us another question.
But no, this was a really good show. Thank you, Anna, for coming on. This is our second episode of Journeys and Ambitions. Of course, we are a mother-daughter duo. We're the hosts of the show. We'll have guests here and there, but we talk about different topics from the perspective of a Gen Z mother Gen X mother and a Gen Z daughter.
or
and
not even, it doesn't even have to be mother-daughter stuff.
yeah,
You know.
just the perspective of different women. Oh, Joe said yes, queens. Hey,
What?
girl, that's my favorite.
That's not what I read when I saw it. I was like, what?
So thank you all for tuning in. Remember, we're on LV with Val Radio. Download the LV with Val app. There is a lot of music there, other talk shows. Anna has her own show. Anna, do you want to talk about your show really quick?
Oh yeah, well my show is called Empower Hour, and we just talk about how to empower yourself, how to talk to yourself, how to really just be your best self mentally and emotionally.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's also on LV with Val Radio on Tuesdays at 5:30. Make sure to like and subscribe. Share the links to our show so that tell all your friends about this incredible, amazing show. You
And
can
if they missed it, they can still access
Yes,
it
if
on
you
YouTube.
miss it, you can still watch it back. It'll still be on YouTube. You can follow us on all social medias at Journeys Ambitions.
Woo.
And we'll see you next Friday.
Yes, we'll see you next Friday.
Next Friday. Thank you.